G'day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan Metal video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the TEQ Super Saiyan Trunks teen and seeing just how good he is in DBZ Dokkan Metal and basically getting a good feel for how good he is as a unit. Now, he's a Mastered Evolution or Android Cell Saga category lead of 170%. He gives an additional 30% HP attack and defense for those who belong to Rapid Growth or Earthbred fighters. Honestly, this is like okay. I think this is like a fine kind of leader skill to have. I think it's not terrible, it's not distinctively excellent, it's just kind of a good one. On his super attack, he raises attack and defense one turn, and in terms of his passive, that's where things get a little bit interesting. He has Ki +2, 150% attack and defense, an additional attack and defense of 100%. Launches an additional attack that has a great chance of becoming a super attack and high chance of guarding all attacks when there are 3 or more Android Cell Saga category allies on the team. He also gets an additional attack and defense of 70% when performing a super attack, and attacks are effective against all types when there's an enemy whose name includes Cell. He is very interesting in the fact that basically he realistically is kind of tied to an Android Cell Saga team. Now though, inherently that's not terrible, because Android Cell Saga has some really strong units and he has some that can kind of beef up his other categories. It is to a certain point restrictive. However, he can fire his active skill starting from the next turn after performing 5 or more attacks in battle. He can use his active skill conditions when HP is 60% or more starting from the 3rd turn, and he will transform immediately after firing 5 or more attacks in battle, or when there's an enemy whose name includes Cell starting from the 5th turn. Now the big thing with Trunks is basically the fact that he feels very dupe dependent. So even when he transforms, very good unit. He has guaranteed critical hits or all critical hits for 1 turn on his super attack. He has Ki +4, attack and defense at 300%. He launches an additional super attack, guards all attacks for 3 turns from his entry, gets an additional attack and defense boost by 200%, and he gets an additional attack and defense of 100% when performing a super attack. He also stuns enemies attacked by the character's super attack. So he's kind of like an augmented version of the Strength Super Vegeta, which does somewhat make sense. He has massively raising attack temporarily on his active skill, and will delay the enemy's attacks for 1 turn, and all attacks become critical hits within the turn when it's activated. His active conditions can be activated when HP is 60% or more, and honestly speaking, like the big thing with Trunks for me as a unit is just how dependent he is on dupes. The difference defensively between a 55% Trunks and a 100% Trunks is quite big. It's like a flat 47% increase in defensive stats. So if you take like how Trunks looks now, what his defense looks like now, and you just add on another 40%, that's basically what we're looking at, which is pretty big considering how dependent he is on start of turn performance. And I think that's probably one of the big kind of stifling factors for Trunks, is that for me, his best performance is truly locked behind at least 1 or 2 dupes. His kit overall is good to the extent that he's a great second slot unit. There are events that are going to give him problems because obviously he does not have crazy start of turn defense. So if he doesn't get his guard to activate, if he does not get a good first slot tank unit, he can kind of be left in the dark a little bit, and this is somewhat of a hindrance to him as a unit. With that being said, I still find him to be an incredibly fun and powerful unit. His kit is a little bit erratic in terms of performance, like I do wish it was more consistent, but at the same time I think he does have a solid foundation upon which he gets to really shine as a unit in that second slot. Of course, events where he's suffering from AoE attacks are not going to be great for him. Even in both forms, he is massively improved when performing a super attack. A 70% boost in his base form, quite considerable, pushing him over the 300k bracket, making him very strong, pushing him to really be able to be quite solid. And then in his second form, again, that kind of almost over doubling of his attack and defense from a single super attack being quite pivotal towards his performance. I think ultimately at the end of the day, Trunks is similar to Strength Super Vegeta in that defensively they have their frailties. Vegeta when he first came out was a incredible beast when it came to damage, and Trunks is very much the same. Whereas Vegeta also had some defensive issues, and Trunks is also very much the same. It is just one of those consistent factors in terms of determining just how good they are as units. However, with that being said, I do think that Trunks, at least for me, on global, does benefit a lot overall from the buffs that occurred during the worldwide celebration. Units like Strength Future Gohan really do help to elevate Trunks and really push him to being able to not only have a good team himself, but actually have a slightly more accessible team or be more accessible on other categories. For example, the fact that Trunks can now be run on things like Future Saga, for example, or pretty solid teams like that, due to the fact that he has such a kind of ability to run with a few more Android Cell Saga units on those teams. Future Gohan covers them for some Super Saiyan teams, some Earthbred Fighters teams, and these type of things help him in meeting the requirements for his base form especially. Because the base form without the guard mechanic can really get ripped. The second form can also get ripped, but the base form can get absolutely slaughtered, which is not such a great position to be in. Now I love Trunks units. Everyone should know Trunks is one of my favorite units. This one, as much as I do enjoy him, he does definitely have his limitations. I think that are obvious. But if you just accept he has limitations as a unit and play him in events where those limitations are mitigated, I think it's not such a big deal. Don't use him in the Zamasu event. It's not the event he's supposed to be in. Use him in other events. I will try him out in the Zamasu event, but any other event where there's no AoE attacks, and this guy is going to absolutely incinerate tons of those events. He's going to have big damage, he's going to have big defense after super, and he's going to slaughter them. So realistically, it's just how you use him that's going to kind of reflect how good your experience is with this Trunks. Now, link leveling is not necessarily the best for him. Obviously, being a super unit, it's not like he gains huge. Golden Warrior, nothing too major. Messenger from the future, bit of attack. Same with Super Saiyan, Royal Lineage, Prepared for Battle, Soul vs. Soul, and Fierce Battle. All just kind of attack-based links, so you can kind of beef up that offense a bit more. In terms of his build, it's a bit difficult to pin down, but I would say Additionals feels like the right build for him. Trying to maximize those super attacks, those crits, the use of the active skills, and then the after super defense by having multiple super attacks feels like the correct way to go about things. I do think ultimately at the end of the day, if you link level Trunks and you put defensive gear on Trunks and you have full additionals on Trunks and you have dupes in Trunks, you'll probably have a pretty good time using him in the majority of content. But I do think ultimately you have to accept that he is always going to be at a risk in events where he's not going to get these big kind of or in events where he gets these big kind of attacks before he supers. It's just too much of a hindrance to him and his design. But yeah, I think ultimately at the end of the day, he's a really fun unit. I do enjoy using him. I do enjoy running him. I do have a good time playing him as a unit. It's just that there are certain events that, I wouldn't take him into that content. I wouldn't take him into those events as I just don't feel like he's going to produce the necessary kind of outcome. But yeah, with that being said, overall, a really fun unit, nice link set, stable link set, links decently with pretty much any Super Saiyan unit or Trunks unit or Hybrid Saiyans unit. And yeah, that's basically it for me. So let me know your thoughts on Trunks and what you think, And we'll take a look at the 100% version of Trunks in the future. But for now, I think this is a pretty good look. And yeah, that'll be it from me. See you guys in the next one. Till then, bye.